Hi, fourth graders. We're going to check out this problem number 1 on your Unit 8 study guide together. The first thing you need to do is make sure you have your Unit 8 study guide, but also that you have a piece of paper, because this problem is going to need a lot more space to show out all your work. So pause the video if you need to go grab that extra sheet of paper. Let's read the problem together. Estimate, then solve. Michael wants to buy a new television for his bedroom. He found one that cost $595. So far, Michael has saved $95. His goal is to buy the television in the next 6 months. If he plans to save the same amount of money for each of the first 4 months and $45 each of the last 2 months, how much money will he need to save each of those 4 months? So what's the question asking? Look back. It's asking how much money will he need to save for each of those 4 months. I'm going to underline that. And I'm going to make a chart of what I know. This is what your scrap paper was for, right? What I know and what I want to find. So right away, we just looked at what the question was asking. It was asking how much money he'll need to save for each of those 4 months. So ultimately, I want to know how many dollars he'll save for each of the 4 months. Okay, so write that in the what you want to find column. Now let's look back and let's think about some things that we know. What do we know already? Pause the video and make a list of everything you know just from reading the problem. Okay, so here's some things I had on my list. I know that the TV cost $595. I also know that he already saved $95. So he has $95. So actually, right away, that might help me with a useful step, right? So I'm going to go back where I'm going to show all my work up here. And my step number 1 is going to be, okay, if the TV costs $595, but he already has $95, I'm going to subtract that and see that now all that's left to pay is $500. So we know he needs 500. Let's keep reading what else we know from the problem. He wants to buy the television in the next 6 months. Wants to buy in 6 months. And he plans to save the same amount of money for each of the first 4 months and $45 each in the last 2 months. So let me write that down. 45 will save $45 each, each of the last 2 months. Okay, and then he's going to get an equal amount, or the same amount, over the first 4 months. Whew, okay, we've dissected this problem. Now let's look at how this what I know can help me with what I want to find. So we already did step 1, right? We figured out he needs $500 more. Well, before I can find out how much he'll save in the 4 months, I'll want to know how much he'll save in the last 2 months, right? And I could take that away from what he needs left. So let's go ahead and do that. If he'll save 45 each of those 2 months, so step 2, we could say, okay, 45 for 2 months, 45 times 2, do that out, and you should get $90. So that's the money coming from the last 2 months. What do you think we should do next before we could figure out the 4 months? You said you need to take what he needs, $500, and take away the amount he's going to save in the last 2 months. That's correct. So 500 minus 90. Now he only needs $410. Okay, now I'm getting close. I also know that he was going to have an equal amount over those 4 months. So he needs $410 over 4 months. He's going to have an equal amount. What equation should you set up for that? Our final step, we'll take that 410 and split it equally into 4 parts. So you could do that with long division or partial quotients, whatever you find easier for you. Pause and solve. Okay, I'm going to show the long division way. So 4 goes in once. 4 minus 4 is nothing. Bring down the 1. How many times does 4 go into 1? 0 times. 4 times 0 is 0. Oops, sorry, 1 left over. Bring down the 1. 4 goes into 10 twice. And that gives us $8. So minus, let me get remainder 2. So you should have gotten 102 remainder 2. But I'm going to write that as a fraction, 102 and 2/4. And here's why. Okay, so these were my dollars, right? So each month, how much did he save? 102 and 2/4 dollars. Well, we don't really say 2/4 dollars. Oh, but I know 2/4 is a half, and a half of a dollar is 50 cents. So each month, he'll need $102.50. Awesome. Way to stick with all those steps. Now this is kind of cool too. If you want to put all of those steps into one number model with unknown, all we did was we started with 595, then we subtracted the 95 he saved, then we subtracted actually the 45 he saved over 2 months, so I'm going to put that in parentheses. You could also write that as minus 45 and then minus 45 again. And finally, we took that entire number, which was 410, and divided it by 4. And it asks for with unknown, so I'm going to say equals question mark. And that's your number model. Now, my one tip is to help me with estimates is I always like to do the problem out first and then go back and do my estimate. So let's do that now. Estimate's really nice. It's just going to give us friendlier numbers to work with. So if I look at this first step, 595 minus 95, was that pretty friendly? Yeah, that's no problem at all. I can do that easily in my head. So we'll write down that got us to 500. Then I'm going to look at step 2. I did 45 times 2 equals 90. Is that friendly? I think we can do better. Instead of 45, I'm going to use 50 because it's a very friendly number and it's close to 45. So 50 times 2, in those 2 months, he saved about $100. Okay, and then I needed to subtract from my difference here how much he saved in those 2 months. So 500 minus 100, is that pretty easy to do in your head? No problem. We get 400. Oh, this is working out beautifully because our last step was to take the remaining $400 and divide it into 4. Is 400 divided by 4 friendly? You bet, right? 400 divided by 4. I know 4 times 100 equals 400. So my estimate would have been $100 a month. So the very, very final step is to think, is your answer reasonable? Does it make sense? Well, if my actual answer was $102.50 and I had estimated $100, yes. Because, I'm going to use B/C, my answer is close to my estimate. Awesome job sticking with all those steps. I think that calls for some sort of cheer Let's do one of my favorites, a McDonald's cheer. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. We're loving it. You did excellent problem solving, way to take it step by step, and good luck with the rest of your study guide.